Alright, well, today is a special day. It's my 48th birthday, so I have a kind of a special announcement. We'll get to that. Now, people have asked me, some friends on Facebook and things like that, they say, you know, how could you... I grew up in a city, Shell Harbour, and, you know, I lived in a normal house and what have you and all that, not on a rural property. So they said, how can you just move to a rural property and just live by yourself? Aren't you lonely? And the thing is that when I lived in a city, all I ever did was go to the pub and drink if I wasn't working. And I lived by myself. No one ever come there. Why would you? Well, they did after the pub every now and then, but that's just a different story. But I was lonely then. I'm not lonely now. I've found myself. I'm bipolar. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 28, so 20 years ago. But with therapy now that I've looked at it and we've looked into it and everything, and what we think is that I was always bipolar. Now, a lot of people will say, oh shit, yeah, of course he was. Whereas my family, nah, they blame it on me smoking pot when I was in my 20s. Now, that's not what the doctors think. But now I realise this is where I needed to be. This here, I'm happy living on the land, off grid, and building a sustainable life for myself. And you know what? Something happened down here. I wish I would have done this years ago. Now, having said that, look, everything happens and everything. I never look at it and go, all right, even though I said I wish I would have done this years ago. Well, and I probably could have done it years ago, but I just didn't realise. I always had it in my head that this is where I'd end up. But I just couldn't wait around any longer. You know, I'm 48 today and I couldn't wait around. I wasn't waiting around to do this when I'm 58. Like, that's 10 years too late then. So I did it. You know, I moved here. I bought 25 acres. It's, you know, it's not the greatest block, but for the money, it's bloody good. And it's got everything that I want. So I enjoy it. Now, the thing is that I've always been open about being bipolar. I will tell people when I meet them and I'll say I'm bipolar. Now, half of them just say, what does that mean? And I'll say, well, it means that, you know, unmedicated, you go through lows where you're depressed, or you go through highs where you're on top of the world. But the thing is if you get too high, then you sort of lose grasp of reality, okay? And you sort of, what happens is, the biggest thing is that you stop sleeping. Now, you just can't sleep. You're trying to sleep, but you can't sleep. So a lot of the time you're hitting that with alcohol to sleep, but that's no good for you, and I did that for way too long. But the thing is that, you know, those highs, when you can't sleep, that's what the high is. You can't sleep. Well, then eventually you've got sleep degradation, and then you haven't got a grasp on anything. Even you don't have to be bipolar, but if you stay up for a week, you'll start to get a bit Looney Tunes, you know. So, because you need to sleep. Now, I'm medicated now, you know, properly. I've been to psych wards on several occasions, and each time they change my medication or, you know, fix my medication up or whatever. Before, I was drinking a lot, so that doesn't help your medication at all. It doesn't work really. So now I feel really good, and I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. It's my dream. It's my dream life. Okay, maybe at times I would have expected that there'd be a missus with me and kids or whatever, but you know, that never happened for me. I was engaged twice, and you know, I'm thankful that I don't have any kids out of those relationships, because that wouldn't have been any good with the stuff that I went through, you know. Even though I have been very successful, like, you know, I worked, my average earnings over 7 years was about $250,000 a year. So I did well, you know, and I can do things really good. I just, personally, I don't like dickheads, can't handle dickheads, but there's always dickheads around. So now there's not, I'm away from it. Now, having said all this, I'll tell you a little story. The lady at the local store, who's known me for 6 months now, And she said, Chris, what's happened to you? And I said, what do you mean what's happened to me? She said, you just seem a whole lot happier now than what you were when you first got here. And I said, well, I am happier. I'm bloody happy. I'm living the life of Riley. Not Riley, my nephew, but I'm whatever that means, that living the life of Riley. I don't know, it must be some sort of Irish thing anyway. But I love it. This is me. This is what I need to be doing, you know. And I didn't want to make this video. I wanted to sit on the shoreline. I've actually made this video before, and I was sitting in the river because that's my peaceful place. It's just, you know, virtually everywhere here for me is peaceful, but the river as well, it's just a lovely place to go and sit in the water, you know. But I stuffed that video up and I actually got very emotional in that video trying to explain all this, but I will explain more about bipolar. Hopefully, I mean, it's my birthday today, and I'm doing this, you know, video to say, hey, that's what I am. I'm bipolar and I'm getting on with life, and I'm living with it, and I know the good parts about it. I know the bad parts about it. I know that most bipolar people are very intelligent, and they're very capable people, but the thing is that they have to find their niche, because if they don't find their niche, then we probably struggle a little bit with superiors and trying to get you to do what you don't want because you just don't want to do it. But I guess that's everyone, but we just deal with it differently than what you do. I'm hoping maybe making this announcement and saying, hey, I'm bipolar, I'm living here off the grid, you should do it too. Maybe a few bipolar people might subscribe, you know, and get on board and help me help you. And yeah, that'd be great, you know. So at the end, this video has been short. I just wanted to announce that Stayer Off Grid is bipolar and loving it. And so if anyone else is out there that's bipolar, hit that subscribe button and hit the like, because I need 1,000 subscribers to start making this, give me a little bit of income. I don't know how much you make, probably not much, but it's better than nothing, right? So please help me, and, you know, let me know in the comments, like it, subscribe, and in the comments say, hey mate, I'm just like you, you know. And let's do this, because together we can change the world. I'm Stayer Off Grid. I'm bipolar. Have a nice day.